So I think we ended up losing almost 1,000,000 pesos. Hi everyone, it's Charm again from Ready2Adult Philippines, a channel about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and adulting how-tos. Today's a different kind of video. The channel just hit 500 subscribers, and even if that's a small number for most, it's a really big milestone for me. So thank you so much, and continue to like this video because it really helps to suggest my videos to people who might be interested in them. And subscribe if you haven't already and be part of the Ready2Adult family. So with this video, I thought I'd finally introduce myself through a story time video. I get asked a lot how and why I switched to entrepreneurship from my architecture background. So if you don't know already, I studied architecture when I was still in college, and I took the board exams as well. So I'm a licensed architect, but I'm currently not practicing, and I want to run you guys through how I became an entrepreneur, or basically this is my entrepreneurship journey. For me to share to you guys how I became an entrepreneur, let me first share to you my family background. Okay, one of the misconceptions that I always get is that both my parents are entrepreneurs, and the business that I'm doing now is a family business. Okay, so just to address that, my family doesn't have a business. I did not grow up in a business environment. So both my parents were employees. They both work in financial institutions like banks, insurance companies, and my parents split up when I was around 6 years old, I think. That was over 20 years ago. When my parents split up, we went with our mom to live in an apartment. So everything that happened was kind of weird for a 6-year-old, because I thought like we might have to live in the streets soon, something like that. I know it's weird, but as a 6-year-old, you don't really understand what's happening. So yeah, I think that kind of made me want to pull up my own weight. Like, I didn't want to be such a burden on my mom or my siblings, who are way older than me, by the way. I didn't realize it back then, but my first business was when I was in first grade. I was 7 years old, and when I was with my family in the grocery, I noticed that a pack of candy was sold for 25 pesos for 50 pieces. So I asked my mom, why is it so expensive in the sari-sari stores? Because, you know, when you're like in kinder 2 or grade 1, that's kind of when you start getting into math. I was having fun calculating how much the candy would cost. So in the sari-sari store, it was 1 peso per candy. And in the grocery, it was 50 centavos because it was 25 pesos for 50 candies. So I asked my mom why that was, and she told me that it's because the sari-sari stores are bringing it closer to you, making it more convenient. So you're also selling the convenience. So that's when it clicked to me that I wanted to sell candies to my classmates. Okay, so back then it was allowed to sell in schools. I know that right now it's not really allowed anymore. So that was my very first business, selling candies to my classmates and to my teachers. So I had a little candy store in school, which is my bag. I also sold stickers and sticker tattoos. So you know those big sheets of sticker tattoos, I would cut them out. So one pack was around 20 to 30 pesos, and it had like 10 or 20 designs. So I sold that also to my classmates. I also sold pastillas. It's basically powdered milk with condensed, and I wrapped them with cellophane, and I sold it to my classmates. And I even sold it to some of the carinderias outside our schools, the sari-sari stores and the carinderias. So I was like their supplier. All my weekends and after school, I was busy making pastillas at home. And then I have this little plastic that my mom found. If you can see here, this was the packaging of the cookies that I sold when I was in grade 5. So I was around 11 years old then. My mom's friend is the supplier for one of the famous coffee shops here in Cebu. So I sold them to my classmates again. So basically, my whole ecosystem for my business back then were my classmates, my mom's office mates, the parents and the yayas outside our schools, and the surrounding, because that's my environment. So I also have this notebook. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly. I can like put up a picture of it. But if you can read, it says My Dream Journal. And if you can see here below, there's a sticker that says my name and where I go to school. If you notice, I was so into magazines. I didn't really ask much like clothes and whatnot from my mom growing up. So she would always buy me 2 magazines, K-Zone and Total Girl. Shout out to the 90s kids out there. And I noticed that my classmates kept borrowing my magazines. So what I did was I rented out the magazines for 1 peso a day. I wasn't too harsh. But the thing was, my classmates would borrow like 5 magazines at a time and wouldn't return them for a week or even a month. Also, like with the sticker, this company called Ruby Stickers, they sold personalized labels and stickers. And my mom convinced the owner to make me an agent at 11 years old. So I was the youngest agent that they probably had, and it was like a friendly gesture. So I sold stickers to the parents and the yayas outside the schools and to my mom's office mates, and I would go to SM to submit all my orders, and I had like a small commission for it. And basically this dream journal, it's about like the things that I want to have. So it's like a vision board. I'm not gonna show you guys exactly what's in here because it's kind of embarrassing, but it really helped me visualize what I wanted to have as a kid. And I feel like it's so important to have a vision board of some sort. So those were some of the things that I tried doing when I was in grade school. When I was in high school, I was so into extracurricular activities that I didn't really have much time to like sell things. But I remember I tried selling MP3s. I'm also gonna insert answering some questions that I received when I posted on my Instagram that I was gonna do a mini Q&A in this video. So someone asked me, what was your first failure? And I guess it was selling the MP3s. I bought some China-made MP3s from my cousin without really understanding if the market wanted it, the market being my classmates. And it didn't end up selling. Like I bought 3 pieces, I think. So it totaled to 9,000 pesos. And for a 13-year-old kid, that's a lot. So I guess that was my mistake, because this time I bought ahead the MP3s without even knowing that my classmates wanted an Apple iPod or something. So yeah, that was kind of hard for me because a lot of the money that I had set aside, I had to use it to pay for the MP3s because I couldn't return it either. Yeah, that was one of my first failures, if you must. But I always treat failures like, you know, I'm sure you guys have heard that you have to charge it to experience. That's kind of how I see it when I encounter a business failure. And then when I was in high school, like I also started event organizing. I wasn't really making money out of it because I did our JS prom. I organized other school activities and sports activities. And like I said, I was so into extracurricular activities. And that extended to when I was in college. So when I was in college, I joined the COMELEC, I ran for student government, I joined our architecture organizations, I became president, and I felt like that really built up my leadership skills that would later be really beneficial when you're running a business. So I always encourage people when you're in college to try out extracurricular activities. They're really helpful. So when I was in college, that's the time I started doing a lot of side hustles again, because when I was in third year college, I started helping out with my tuition. So we had a family friend who owns a clothing company called South Shores, if you're familiar with it. So I collaborated with her that I can pull out some of her clothes in exchange for photos. So I styled and organized photo shoots. Some of them are even debutantes, like pre-debut shoots. So the client paid for the stylists as well. So I made a little side hustle out of that. And it was kind of a win-win because we also got to market the clothes that our friend was selling in her store. So aside from that, I also made some money modeling. So I did a little bit of modeling here and there, both photo shoots and runways. And that was one of my things here in my dream journal, actually, like to model, but like I didn't really do that too often. So what I did mostly was I started an Instagram shop where I sold clothes. We started with ready-to-wears, and then we found a supplier that can do made-to-order clothes. And then I found also a supplier that can make mandals, or like when the Birkenstock trend was so big. At that time, I didn't really realize that what I was doing was selling was fake items. So when I realized that, what I did was I asked the supplier to make my own designs, things that Birkenstock didn't do, and then I told them to take out the print that says Birkenstock. I also had a supplier make for me leatherette bags, like little tote bags. And from all the stories that I've been telling you guys can tell that I'm a hustler. Like, I really didn't care much what it was. As long as I could do it, I would really like go into it. I also tried being like a promo-dizer, I think, for Havaianas, for their make-your-own Havaianas. And I think this was already after college, like selling the bags and the Havaianas. And I did these while trying to build what is now Pop District Bazaar. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I currently am doing and some of the things that I did after college. So right after college, I graduated 2015. We attended an event that was organized by the advertising students in our college called Obscura, and that's actually where Pop District Bazaar, the idea was born. It was an event project for their class, and they had a band inside, and then they had a small food area and like a small bazaar area. So when we were inside with my friends, like, you know, jamming to the music, I literally pulled them all out, all 4 or 5 of them, and told them, why isn't there something like this in Cebu, but like in a bigger scale? Like, why is it so small with only like 5 vendors each? And of course, right, it was a school project, but there were also similar events happening in town, and it was also in a smaller scale. So I thought that why isn't there like a big bazaar where food and other concessionaires are there to sell? So I was a concessionaire also myself, and that's where this frustration came from. Like, the bazaars before were usually part of a corporate event or a rave, and it's not really a conducive place to shop. So when you don't have that mindset that you're going there to shop, then you probably won't. Long story short, that's kind of how Pop District Bazaar happened. The period of planning to actually the event happening was around 6 to 7 months. So for 6 to 7 months after graduation, I was unemployed, and that's where I put all my time to the meetings and the coordinating and ocular and all those things. And after the first Pop District Bazaar, which didn't really make that much money, I think we only like broke even, it opened the door to Sugbo Mercado. So Sugbo Mercado is now like a Sugbo Mercado food group of companies. The market and street food are also under Sugbo Mercado. And for Sugbo Mercado, we have 2 branches. So for Sugbo Mercado, the founders, which are my partners right now, they're three guys. They invited us to a meeting because one of the tenants that we had at Pop District Bazaar told them that they really enjoyed Pop District and that he was really pleased with it and that they should consider collaborating or partnering, right? Because fun fact, Pop District and Sugbo Mercado actually launched at the same time, the same weekend back in September 2015. So we met up and they told us what they needed, what they were having problems with. And we told them that yes, we can help them with making it Instagram worthy, with organizing their back end, like the accounting and everything. So me and my partner Ruby from Pop District Bazaar partnered with the three guys and we then formed a corporation. So that's my main line right now. What I mainly do, it's food markets and bazaars. So I also do pop-up bazaars for companies and mostly like real estate, open houses. So, but other than that, we also tried opening a concept store. And there's another question here that what was your biggest business mistake? I would say that this was my biggest business mistake. So me and my partner Ruby partnered with two other people to open a concept store. So a concept store is basically like a bazaar, but it's all year round. There were different brands under one store and it was called Urban Lifestyle. We operated for 11 months before deciding that we were losing too much and we needed to close. And that was my biggest business mistake, not because I think the idea was bad, but because first, it wasn't really the space that we wanted. We wanted to be in the space beside Starbucks in the ground floor, but then the mall wanted us on the second floor. So we pushed through even if we knew that being on the second floor would be harder. It was also a bigger space, so that means it had a more expensive rent. So yeah, and all of us had our full-time jobs, other businesses that we were taking care of, so we didn't really focus too much on urban lifestyle. So I think we ended up losing almost 1 million pesos altogether. When you say charge to experience, that was really like a big expense to pay for an experience, but it was an experience well learned. That new businesses, even with your track record, are really important to pay attention to. They're like your babies, like you have to guide them growing up, right? And also that our pride should not get in the way of handling business. It shouldn't be so subject to your emotions, but you should look at it in an objective way. We already knew 6 months, 8 months in that we really weren't gonna make money out of the store, but we still wanted to continue, and that ended up losing us a few more pesos. Yeah, and I also did like a smoothie bowl concept with my friends, with two of my friends, Joms and David. So we opened Be Bold in 2017. It was a really good concept. I felt like the market was just not ready for it. And also, again, we all had our full-time jobs, so we couldn't really be too attentive to it. So we opened at Pop District, and we did so well. We opened at Sugbo Mercado. We did okay, but it was not sustainable because the market didn't really understand what a smoothie bowl was. Like we had, because it was a night market, and I felt like people wanted smoothie bowls for the morning or as a healthy alternative, which you don't really look for in a food market. So it was a good business that maybe we can go back to in a few years' time. And dealing with all these startups and MSMEs with Pop District and Sugbo Mercado, Urban Lifestyle, I've really grown to get to know how the markets work, and I've done a few branding and marketing consultations as well that eventually led to me joining the Dual Story team. So one of my recent ventures is Dual Story Brand Strategy and Communications. It's an agency, and yeah, so now I'm working with brands. I usually handle the finances and some project management. Like, I'm not a graphic artist, I'm not a creative in that way. So yeah, and the most recent one, it's not really a business, it's more of my passion, is Ready2Adult Ph. So I'm an entrepreneurship and financial literacy advocate, and I wanted to share that to you guys through videos like this. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing right now. These are currently the businesses that I'm handling right now, and I want to answer some of the questions that some of you guys asked. Okay, first question is, how do you gracefully transition from a corporate job to creating your own startup business from scratch? I always tell people when I talk to them about starting a business, you don't have to quit your job right now. I'm not asking you to pour all your life savings into a business venture that might not even succeed, because of course, we might have other people depending on us and relying on us, right? What I always tell them is to start a side hustle first. Keep your 9-to-5 job, keep your corporate job, start a side hustle after work or on the weekends. And if you think that your side business is growing, maybe you can transition to doing part-time. And then when it's really sustainable, then you can quit from your job if you're not happy with it. So just a disclaimer, I'm not against working a corporate job or a 9-to-5. If you're happy with it, by all means. But if you're not very passionate with it and you want to do something that you're passionate about and that you would earn from it, why not, right? So that's usually why I encourage people to start a business. So yeah. Does passion really matter in doing a business? Okay, or starting a business? I would say no. You don't need a passion to earn from a business. Like I did so many things just to earn money when I was a kid, and I wasn't necessarily passionate about pastillas or cookies, right? So you can do it. You can do buy and sell or make things and then sell them. But I would really say that to make your business sustainable and to really grow it, passion needs to be there. That's just my opinion when it comes to passion. If you're passionate about your business, then you have more patience with it and it has more potential to grow. So for our last question, what was your biggest challenge when you established a business? Okay, I established my businesses when I was 21 or 20 years old, something like that, around 5 years ago. So my challenge and also my advantage was actually being young. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because on the other hand, people can be really amazed with you and your hustle, and that they would really give you the time of day to really listen to you because they're impressed. But also on the other hand, they might not take you too seriously and they don't think that you're worth their time. So you have to find the balance. And what I found was, when you know what you're talking about and you are knowledgeable about your products or your services, then that's the time that they lean towards the impressed route and really listen to you and your ideas or the things that you're selling, rather than being bored and doubt you. So yeah, that was the biggest challenge I had when I started out. So yeah, that was the end of my story time video. I hope you enjoyed it despite being, I feel like it's gonna be a long video. So I've collaborated with my dual story family to produce a logo for Ready2Adult, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Here it is. So yeah, let me know what you think of it. I hope you guys like it. And feel free to check out my past videos as well. So if you didn't know, I did a 1-month-long crash course series, and I uploaded most of the classes here on my channel. You can check out the crash course series playlist. You can learn from different speakers with different topics other than personal finance, entrepreneurship, and other adulting things. So you can also check out my personal finance playlist. So just remember that adulting's already hard, but finance doesn't have to be. And again, this has been Charm from Ready2Adult Philippines, and I will see you on my next video.